This episode of The Rookie Hunter is sponsored by North Arm Knives. North Arm Knives are handcrafted and sold directly through a father and son team right here in British Columbia. Choose from a selection of outdoor knives, kitchen knives, and their brand new folding knife from northarmknives.com. They ship internationally and guarantee all their work. Callie and I use their products and give them our stamp of approval. Go to northarmknives.com. Hey guys, welcome to episode 52. Today on the show we have Nathan French. To date, Nathan has had a pretty amazing guiding career, and he's got some great stories for us coming up on this episode. He's also a photographer, which we didn't get to touch on too much, but if you head over to nathan-french.com, you can check out all of his work there, which is available for purchase. And with each purchase, he's given back to conservation, and we think that's awesome. So head over to his website. You'll find links to his social media, Facebook and Instagram from his website. We'll also put that in our show notes. But head over to nathan-french.com and check that stuff out. As we approach the holidays, we're offering you guys a little bit of a discount on t-shirts. So from December 1st until December 15th, we have a promo code that our listeners can use, which is Rookie17. That's the number 17. So if you head over to the website, therookiehunter.com, click on the store tab and pick out something nice for yourself. When you get to the checkout, just put in the code Rookie17. Again, that's number 17 at checkout, and you'll save yourself a few bucks. Our shirts are available internationally. I know we had a lot of American guys wondering when they'd be able to get their hands on one, and now is the time. And worth noting that your dollar is much stronger than ours, so it's going to be even cheaper than it is for us. So head over to the website and get yourself a t-shirt between December 1st and the 15th. Appreciate you guys supporting us, and as always, it goes a long way. So thank you very much for doing that. You can also recommend the show to your friends and family, and make sure you subscribe. Leave us a rating and review in iTunes. Again, very much appreciated. Last thing to note is, as some of you guys know, we're doing the 30-day beer run. It's a challenge we put up to each other on episode 50. So if you're not familiar, you can go back and check out what we're up to. But if anybody wants to run with us, we're using the Nike Run Club app, and we've had quite a few guys joining us already. So all you have to do is download that app and search out Rookie Hunter Mike, Rookie Hunter Kelly. You can keep track of our progress, and you can run up against us. It's pretty fun. There's a leaderboard with everybody's name up there and how many kilometers they've run. So this challenge isn't necessarily about who can run the farthest. It's about setting a goal for yourself and meeting that within 30 days. And what happens if Kelly and I don't meet our targets in this 30-day period? We can't drink for 30 days after that, and you guys know we love beer, so that's tragic if we don't make our targets here. So it's going to be interesting. We're only a week into it, and so far both of us are on target to meet our goals, but we still got 3 weeks to go here, so we'll see what happens. It could be interesting. Let's get into this episode. Sit back, relax, crack a cold beer, and enjoy episode 52 with Nathan French.
And it was up to I think I've got 9,500 cubic inches worth of space if I need it.
Yeah.
But there's a learning curve in how to use it. Because when we went on the trip, it's a big black hole if you don't know how to set it up, right?
For sure. You got any external pockets on it?
Yeah, the spotting scope pocket on the front. And then I had one medium pocket on the lid, on the guide lid, and then 2 pockets on the side.
Yeah, I just ran their new Fulcrum this year. It's unbelievable.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's amazing.
That came out right after after we had Aaron on, I was talking to him about it, and he helped us out a little bit, but then the Fulcrum came out right afterwards.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, that looks amazing.
Yeah, it was a sweet pack this year. It really helped me out in some sticky situations.
Nice. That's kind of like the EMR, isn't it?
It is. It's the revised EMR 2, basically,
right,
with some really cool updates. So
nice. Yeah, I see day pack mode. You can kind of flip the flaps around, and it you still have some compartmentalization there.
Yeah, between the old and the new, with those wings, the old one the straps compress the wings.
Yep.
Now the straps are on the back side of the wing, so the wing isn't really compressed. You can have, it jam full, and it's not going to be compressed.
Nice. Yeah, man, I love that pack. The belt, and we've talked about this, the belt is so comfortable with that pad on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a nice Lambo pad for sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't slip. It's great.
Definitely.
Nice.
I see you got the...
She's rolling. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for making the trip south to come and hang out with us in the studio. It's always nice to actually do one-on-one interviews and have a beer and all that. So, yeah, appreciate you coming in, man.
You bet.
So before we get too far into talking about backpacks and all that good stuff, just maybe give us a quick introduction.
Yeah, well, if you can't tell by the accent, I'm originally from England. I moved to Canada in 2003 with my family. I was just a little boy, 11 years old, and my parents, ironically, moved right opposite a taxidermy shop.
Oh, nice.
And so me being curious, walked over there and got to know the taxidermist, and he's an absolute avid killer. Like, unbelievable what he's killed, 20 sheep, 35 goats, just
Wow.
unbelievable. So I got really interested in the taxidermy stuff. And then he took me out hunting, killed my first animal in Canada, was 12 years old. It was a Shire moose.
Oh, wow.
LEH. It was pretty ridiculous. But
Wow.
good eye opener for sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then, just kept getting into it. And then he saw how much I loved hunting, and he used to guide in the Yukon. And so at 17, I graduated a little early, put in a resume to, I don't know, I think I sent about 20 resumes off to the Yukon.
Yeah.
And got a reply and talked to the guy, and off I went. Started wrangling apprentice guide in 2010 and haven't looked back ever since.
It's kind of funny how the stars can align like that. Sometimes just having that right across the street from you changed your whole life by the sounds of it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice guy to learn from too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Having a mentor is obviously key. You avoid a lot of what Kelly and I have gone through.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to get exposed to, the right way of doing things. But yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah. And you're from Vernon, which is just
I am.
about half an hour from us. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Local.
Yeah. It's a nice little hole in the wall.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, the nice thing about, obviously Kelowna is a little bit busier than a lot of centers around here, but even for us here, we're so spoiled because we can get quickly out of town. Like within, 15 minutes, you're at a trailhead somewhere and you can start hunting right away. So we're definitely spoiled to live in the Okanagan. But you obviously get to hunt all over the place. So maybe tell us a bit about your guiding background and where that's taken you.
Well, like I said, I started in Yukon and I did 3 seasons up there. For names, I worked for Tim Mervyn. That was my first opening year, and he runs a really good show. It's a horseback area.
Okay.
Great sheep and caribou moose. And then I got a guiding job. I could have gone back to Tim in 11, but I got a guiding job in further north in Yukon with Chris Widrig.
Okay.
And I'm so thankful I took that job. I did 2 seasons there, and I think that's who made the guide I am. It was just, it was me, 6 to 7 horses, and a hunter.
Wow.
And so there's no such thing as a wrangler. It's you getting up at 3:34 in the morning, finding your horses and doing everything, babysitting to the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Off you go. So that gave me some eye-opening learning curves for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
Some big wrecks, and just you're on your own. You got to deal with it. Right?
Yeah.
So, and then 2013, I changed my scene and went to the Northwest Territories.
Okay.
And worked for Ramhead Outfitters and did 3 seasons there. And then the last 2 years, I've been with Dustin Rowe, with Backcountry BC and beyond.
Okay.
And just doing more of the extreme sort of backpack hunts. You don't have the assistance of a helicopter like you would in the territories.
Right.
And we do stone sheep. We've done the deserts in Mexico.
Wow.
And bighorns down in the Kootenays. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no kidding. How many days do you think you're spending out in the backcountry each year?
I've never really counted. I would say about 4 months straight.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. If you were to put a number on it.
Yeah.
4 or 5 months. I did a month. This year I did a month in Mexico, March to April. You're not always in the mountains, but a good chunk of it for sure.
Right.
And then my season started. I did one hunt for Canoe Outfitters. That's the new outfit who took over Ramhead.
Okay.
I did one hunt there, and so that was July 15th, and I went July 15th to September 10th. I came down south because I was supposed to do a bighorn hunt, and then the fires changed that.
Oh, right.
So we had a bit of a delay there, and then I got back in the mountains once the season was open, and I went solid till October 25th. And then usually I do that late season archery bighorn in Canmore for Frank Simpson and Flint Simpson. And this would have been my 4th year, but I decided to take a chill pill this year.
Nice.
I don't want to freeze my butt off anymore.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So how often do you get to go out on your own? Obviously you're...
Not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, that's the downside to guiding. And I think the way I look at it, you know, I truly do love guiding. It's something I'm passionate about. Yeah. I don't have to be the one shooting it, even though it's a great, you know, accomplishment to kill your own things. At the end of the day, I'd love guiding. So
yeah, it always feels like a team effort, no matter what, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have have you shot a sheep?
I have. I killed a stone in 2013.
Okay.
And the only reason I killed that is because I decided not to take a guiding job. I got talked out of it, thankfully. So
nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't have that sheep without doing that. So that was a fun one.
So when you're working with these guides, do you have to do a lot of the scouting and stuff, or are you mostly showing up just to take the guest out to like pre-planned kind of?
You know, the way we've been doing it in the last 2 years with Dustin, he does like the lease tags kind of deal.
Right.
And he sometimes goes back to outfits he's worked with in the past, but sometimes, like this year, we got a couple tags that we've never been in there. And so you try and get as much information from the outfitter as you can, as much as they want to give.
Yep.
Some of them are nice, some of them aren't. But really, it's just foot on the ground when your client comes. You might give an extra 2 days before, you know, if it's a 10-day hunt, you might get in there 2 days early. And you just hunt your butt off. And you know what? We've been successful doing it. And I don't know, Google Earth is a man's best friend in this day and age. So
yeah, definitely.
It's amazing what you can find out on the internet.
Yeah, for sure.
It's amazing how much bigger things are when you get there too.
Yeah. Especially when you're flying in, you're like, oh, this doesn't look too bad. And then you're finding out boots on the ground and looking up. Yeah. What did I get myself into?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're kind of doing a combination of different types of hunts, but are you doing fly-ins and then just going out on foot from there? Are you using horses at all, or?
No, I've kind of said goodbye to the horse kind of deal. I like my 2 feet and my heartbeat.
Right.
But it's basically how the territory, like when I do the territory hunts, it is assisted by a helicopter, which some people think is cheating, but how I've always been dropped off is you drop off in the valley and off you go hunting.
Right.
Some guys run it differently. They know every sheep you're going to kill, but with the stone sheep and the bighorns, it's definitely float plane in or mainly float plane and off you go.
Right.
Sometimes a wheel plane can get you in some places, but BC's pretty rugged.
Yeah, for sure.
So. And then bighorns, it's mainly off the road.
Right.
It's the cheapest way to do it for sure, and easiest way.
Right. So we've actually talked to a few guys about horses, just because after this trip we saw so many passing us that we were like, oh, that's the way to do it. But like, what are your thoughts on horses in general for hunting?
Oh yeah, they've been around. That's why guys use them. They definitely assist on a hunt, no doubt, and depends what you're going for. But I just love my backpack. It doesn't slow me down. I've had so many wrecks and so many horses gone trying to run for the highway, and you go and chasing them for a day, and you lose a hunt with your client.
Yep.
You know, a wrangler. If I was to go with a wrangler and just know that he's assisting with me for the horses, it's a different story. And you know, they do get you into places, but if on good ground, you can walk as fast as a horse.
Right.
In my eyes, you might get more tired, but
right.
I just don't want that extra hassle of worrying about where the horses are going to be in the morning.
Yeah, I guess it's one thing if you're the client and you don't have to think about the horses
Mm-hmm.
as much. But when everything kind of falls on you as far as the responsibilities go that come along with them, it's a bit of a different story. So I can see.
And the clients hate it, but the most important thing on a horseback hunt is the horses.
Right.
It's not the client first, it's the horses.
Yeah, I guess so, eh?
And because they really make or break a hunt. And when you're talking moose, like if we get into moose hunting, yeah, they're a dream, right? Who wants to backpack a moose? So but no, I did really enjoy them in the Yukon. It was a good experience.
Mike wants to backpack a moose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to torture a little bit. It depends how bad it is, but I'd be more likely to pull the trigger on a moose if we were ways back there than Callie would. And he would probably hate me for it. But
can we talk about how bad it would be?
Well, I've backpacked moose. Like I've been fortunate that they're only a couple miles from a lake.
Right.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
But it's doable.
It's doable. Of course, anything's doable.
Yeah.
How big's your backpack is the question.
Exactly. Yeah.
And is your I guess you guys are hunting as residents, but with a client, they're not going to do anything.
Right.
They're just going to sit there and watch you skin it and complain most of the time.
Do you get a lot of that, or guys usually pretty good?
No, I'm just being a... But I don't know. I would say 5% of the clients are truly ready to be on a backpack hunt.
Right.
It's amazing. You know, they book the hunts in January, February at the shows, and we tell them, you know, this is a true extreme backpack hunt, and this is what you're doing. Oh yeah, I've been on the treadmills, I've been running stairs, and at the end of the day, nothing trains you for the mountain other than the mountain, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's not a marathon. It's a marathon, not a race.
Right.
So, and whenever I get off the plane, that's the first thing I tell my clients is, you know, I might be 100 yards ahead of you sometimes, but don't worry. Like I'm looking ahead.
Right.
You know, there might be a sheep around the corner that I'm going to see before you. There's a good reason for that.
Yeah.
And I'm never rushing you. It's you just got to take your time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how much country you can cover on your feet.
Right. Yeah, for
like
sure.
You look at a valley and like, oh man, it's going to take forever, and you just start grinding, and you're there within 4 or 5 hours usually, depending on the bushwhack.
Yeah.
As we both know what that's
rivers.
like. Yeah.
But okay, well, horses. But Mike and I were looking at your Instagram, and you have another 4-legged friend that's usually with you. So,
Odin.
Yeah, so I don't see that a lot, at least with other guides, is them using dogs with backpacks and stuff. But.
He is, so that's Dustin's dog. He has 2. He uses Sitka and Odin, and they are unbelievable. And I'm just about to purchase my own puppy this winter, getting ready for sheep season, but there's nothing like it. First, they are man's best friend and your best companion out there, and you can put, I don't know, usually my backpack's about 62 pounds after said and done for 10 days.
Right.
And depending on how much the client can handle, sometimes I'll put 5 pounds, 10 pounds of the client stuff, and then I'll throw 10 pounds. But on a good, just, you know, going into the mountains, 20 pounds to 30 pounds on a dog they can handle it easy. And then once you get that ram down, depending on how much bushwhack and how much uphill you got and rocks, you can put 50 on them if needed.
Wow.
And they are unbelievable. They just follow you like... And what's amazing is I had Odin all year this year. And on the first hunt of the year in the territories, it was 11 o'clock at night, opening day. So, midnight sun up in the territories. And we found these rams, and I said to my client, you know, we can go for it now. It'll be an all-nighter, or we'll wait until the morning. He's like, let's just do it. And so we dropped our packs, and, you know, he just told Odin to lay down. And we were gone 3-4 hours, and we finally killed the ram, and we were way down in a hellhole. And I said to him, okay, I got to go back up and get the dog, and we'll find a route down and come down and deal with this ram. And up I go, sneak up, and there he is, just sleeping at the pack, hasn't even moved an inch. It's just amazing how you can just leave him like that. And even on his own, like, they work great as a tandem. Like, Dustin's had him he's had Sick for 8 years and Odin for 5, and they've always worked together. But recently, while I've been working for him, I've been taking Odin. And they work great as a team, but even singly, they're with you every step of the way. And they can go through the rocks better than I can. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely Oscar. He comes with me on just about every hunt, and people are often surprised by that. I'm sure you've probably got the same reaction when people come and see a dog joining you on the hunt. It's not your usual companion for the most part, I don't think, but it definitely is having them. It's nice having them around, and it's cool because I can kind of watch his ears, and he'll tune into certain things that I'm not necessarily paying attention to, and even times we've been in close range within deer, they're almost more curious with him with me for whatever reason. So sometimes it buys you a little bit of extra time too. And so it's definitely interesting. And we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, but I think 3 out of 4 deer he's been with us around here or something like that. So
yeah, 3 out of 5, I think.
Yeah.
Or yeah, 3 out of 4.
Yeah, around here anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, there's no worry in the world with these dogs. Like Dustin, I've had Doden within 10 yards of a ewe, just walks up and he just sits there and looks at it. Sitka, he's a little more intense, I would call it. Like he loves kind of the kill.
Right.
Odin, he'll just lay down and go to sleep. Who cares? Like, tell me when I have to work, kind of thing.
Nice.
But yeah, we've been laying there and a ewe will walk up and they don't bark, they don't chase, nothing. And when you were saying with the ears perking up, like I know Sitka with Dustin, he's had it where he's sniffed up in the air and you look over the ridge and there's the rams.
Right.
And I witnessed it myself issue of Odin on that doe sheep. We were literally sitting on the rugged cliffs with our legs hanging over, kind of glassing the further landscape. And there he is with his nose up, looking straight down. And I look down and there's 2 rams right below us. I was like, oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's this buck that's up behind me. That's exactly how I was sort of alerted to that one, was him. I was just sort of, ready to sit down and relax for a little bit. And he's got his nose up. He could smell something. Sure enough, there's a buck like right down below me. Same thing. Yeah. So it's interesting when you think there's nothing around. There's often something hanging around pretty close by. Yeah.
I don't think I can do another stone sheep or a bighorn without a dog.
That's interesting.
It's amazing. Yeah. And for the client aspect too, is like on day 6 or 7, you're not seeing much. Maybe the weather's real crappy.
Right.
That dog's always happy,
Totally,
it's like we get down on ourselves and he's just loving being out there. It might be shivering, shaking cold, but he's still smiling and he's still wagging his tail and he'll nudge the hunter, lick his hand or whatever. And it just uplifts.
Yeah, I bet.
It gives an uplifting attitude. So
what time periods are you doing most of that stone sheep stuff? Is it August?
Yeah, mainly August. We run a couple into September, but then in the last couple years, bighorns always start in September 10th. So we're trying to wrap up north to get down here for opener. But I know last year we did a late one in the northern BC, and it Dustin was up there in minus 20, 25 in the snow, but different aspect of stone sheep hunting. But
yeah, no kidding.
I know with my the stone I killed in 2013, man, I got fortunate. I killed him on day 3, basically day 3 of the hunt, and then it was a 2-day pack out. So that's day 5, and day 6 it snowed like 18 inches, and so I was pretty fortunate to get down to the lake before that happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
But that was September 20th, so any time in September, be prepared.
You just never know. Yeah.
When were we up there?
This was the last week of September, and it was like some days were t-shirt weather. There was some nights that got pretty cold, but
we got lucky though.
We got lucky, super lucky. Yeah. Like cold, I'm talking like it probably hit 0 or -2 overnight, so it was like nothing.
Yeah.
Right. But but we were prepared for absolutely anything as far as snow or warm weather. Like we were watching the forecast before we headed up there, and it was changing constantly, as you would expect in northern BC. But yeah, we definitely got lucky, and I don't think that's going to happen too often.
Yeah, it's just crazy what that weather can do, and it can ruin a hunt just way too quickly.
Right.
It's sad in a way, but what can you do? You can only prepare yourself for what you can do, right?
Exactly.
And that's that's another thing that's stress on a guide is with the weather, and it happened this year on a bighorn hunt. The first 5 days were huntable, real nice, and we got on some really nice rams, and one was 1 inch from legal. And you get in tight with your client and look, and sorry man, he's not legal. And it's still fun, you're on rams. And then day 6 came along, and the snow comes and the fog comes, and you sit there, and day 10 comes around, and you're still sitting in the fog, and end of your hunt, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but thankfully, most clients, it's not on your shoulders to do with the weather, but
Yeah,
I take a lot of things personally, so
right.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But
Yeah, it'd be hard not to, but there's only so much you can do, and as long as you put in your best effort, there's nothing else you can do.
yeah, and year to year too, like you explained in September up there, it wasn't too bad. But 2 years ago in the Kootenays, we were hunting personally on the last day of the season. It was 25 degrees Celsius. And then you guys remember last year, the snow was stupid. On October 6th, it started snowing. I was doing a guided hunt down in the southeast part of the Kootenays. And we hiked in. It was a nice sunny day. There was a skiff of snow. Set up a Hillebergs, and next morning, it's fog and snowing. You're like, okay, we'll wait till past it. And it was 8 days straight that we sat in snow, and we had an hour and a half of glass and light in 8 days.
Wow.
And we decided on day 8, let's get the heck out of here.
Right.
There was waist deep snow, and we pushed and pushed all day to get out of there. But that was, and that's what I was saying. We moved, and then I went on a personal hunt at the end of the year last year, and mostly everywhere was inaccessible. There was 4 feet mostly everywhere on the peaks, and
Wow.
I was watching sheep like just pushing and pushing and pushing to try and get into the winter range. And I saw it this year with the rams I've seen. I don't know what's happening out there, but I'm pretty worried for them. I don't know if last year with that snow killed off a lot of rams and ewes, but
Right.
Yeah.
it wasn't the numbers that usually you see in some of those spots. So
Yeah, we're kind of dealing with similar situations with mule deer and stuff around here.
for sure.
Seems like a similar story just straight across the board with everybody we've talked to. Doesn't really matter what species, but
Yeah, I don't know.
so yeah, next year it'll be interesting to see what happens, if it's going to be similar situation next year. And I guess it depends on the winter we get this year too, but yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what to think about it, because the contrast was complete opposite this year as it was from last year. So yeah, I don't know. Something's up.
Yeah. What are you guys using for? You mentioned Hillebergs. Is that kind of the shelter of choice on this?
Yeah, they're the bomb-proof way to go.
Yeah.
We run all different ones. Like I have a Namach GT, which I like to use in the territories just because the way you hunt up there maybe is a little more cushy in a sense. You are dropped off, and you can leave some stuff. And, if I want to go chase a ram, I'm okay to go without a tent. I'll sleep on the side of the mountain. It's not a big deal. They are a heavier tent, that one. It's 9 pounds, but it's got a massive vestibule. It's a 2-man. It's just nice to organize your gear in it. But down in the Kootenays and northern BC for stones, I was running the Nyack this year, which I really, really like. It's a free season, but I was in crap snow and wind and
No problem.
And it's a 2-man, and it's I think it's just under 5 pounds, 4 something.
Wow, not bad at all.
So that's nice to have for sure.
And how late are you using that one?
I used that right till October 25th this year.
Wow.
And I was in some nasty stuff. Yeah, it was good. I was worried because, you look at the design, it's not right down to the floor, the outside. And you're thinking, snow's just going to blow right up into it. But I never had an issue. Thankfully. So.
Yeah, I think a Hilleberg is going to be the next purchase for us, for sure.
Do you have an American friend?
Yeah.
Maybe get it sent to an American address.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Oh, I've learned the hard way with that. You get a disc, you can get an outfitter's discount or guide discount, and you get that and whatever it is, and knock on your door, and there's the postman asking for $250 duty and taxes.
Yeah, you don't expect that. Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
That was one of the reasons why, Kelly and I didn't buy it, but our hunting partner got a Kafar, the 8-man TP.
Yeah.
For that reason is because it's built in
America.
in the States, and you don't have to pay all that extra shit other than shipping, which is nice. But yeah, that's an added expense you don't necessarily expect to have. But yeah, necessary part of our hunting kit, I think, moving forward is going to be,
Yeah. Well, the thing that we got to decide too is is it best to go like a 1-2-man for one guy and then everybody sleeps in their own tent, or do you go with I assume you kind of buy a 3-person for 2 guys and a 4-person for 3 guys and that kind of thing, or?
I think Hillebergs run true to what they say they are.
Okay.
You know, some tent companies, you buy a 2-man and it's honestly just a 1-man.
Yeah, exactly.
Every 2-man I've slept in a Hilleberg is an honest 2-man.
That's good, because we were looking at the specs and it looked like 2-man was legit 2-man, but we're, for that very reason, just wondering if it actually was, because if we ordered a 2-man and we're sleeping on top of each other, it wouldn't be the best
No,
situation.
That Nyack's maybe probably one of the tighter 2-mans.
Yeah.
It's kind of, have you heard of the Una?
Yeah.
So that's a lighter version of the Nyack. Basically, it doesn't have a vestibule.
Right.
You can squish 2 guys in it. It's just a real nice 1-man, and it weighs hardly anything for a tent. So, but any of those 4-season 2-mans, they're honest 2-man.
So the 4-season is the one with the liner inside. Is that the difference, or?
No, I would say the difference is just how with the material they're built with. They're probably a heavier material, more bomb-proof, they want to call it. Usually the material goes right to the ground, and then you can, if you really want to add the extra weight, you can get the liners inside for like the ground sheet, like the footprint they call it. That I do have that for my Namach, and that is a nice little addition to have if you can pack the extra weight.
Right.
Pretty nice to keep things dry, especially if you're in icy, snowy, rainy, kind of grassy conditions.
Yeah, sometimes the weight penalty is definitely worth it, depending on what you're going to be in.
It depends what your system is. If you 2 guys are going to hunt always together, and you make a system for the 2 of you. With me, it's my system, and then I'm going to have an extra tent for the client and food and whatnot. That's kind of, he has his personal gear, and I'll supply the tent and the food.
Okay.
But if you're hunting with a buddy, it's kind of a toss-up. You could carry 2 1-mans. The lightest 1-man is, I think they have one that's like 3 pounds.
Oh, wow.
The Atco, or I think it's the Atco. It's like a 1-pole kind of design. It's pretty tight, but it just all depends on kind of where you want to take. I would rather drop an extra jacket or something, or
Exactly.
less food, go hungry and have a little more nicer living conditions.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess for everybody, it just matters, what your preferences are as far as what's going to make you comfortable out there. And you can always find ways to shave a few pounds. Not so much on our first trip last year. You kind of feel like, well, I might use this, but once you've been out there, you kind of get a better idea of what you need and what you don't.
I think at the end of the day, your sleep system is probably one of the most important things to have.
For sure.
Your sleeping bag and your tent, things can get wild out there, and, you get soaking wet. That's how you got to, you need that right away. And just to have that extra little room and maybe 2 pounds on your back, it's going to go a long ways.
Yeah, definitely.
You can dry stuff out maybe a little quicker.
Yep. What are your thoughts on down and synthetic bags? So
I used a down bag probably for 5-6 years, and I'm now using a Cafaro slick bag, and they do use a synthetic, and I don't think I'll go back to down. You get into those situations where the Hillebergs do have a condensation kind of issue now and then, depending on what the weather's like outside. And with the down bag, I'd wake up and just be soaked. Now you're not physically wet, but now you're stuffing that wet bag into your pack, and you're going hiking, and it's 9 o'clock at night, and you rip it out, and it's wet, and now you're going into a wet bag. And with the synthetics, I just find, in the morning, if you're in more of a timbery environment, you can quickly crack a fire in the morning. I'll lay my bag out as I'm, taking down my tent and all that, and it's dry within 2-3 minutes. It really is. I think synthetic. It might be. I don't know. They're not that heavy. Like mine's like 3 pounds.
Yeah, I think we went with. Well, Garrett and I went with the Mountain Hardware Hyper Lamina or something. It's. And I can't remember what it's rated for, like -15 or something like that Celsius. And it was only 3 pounds, 3.3.5 maybe.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
Like my down bag, I had a Montbell, and it's probably one of the comfiest bags I've ever slept in. They kind of do like a diagonal baffle design. It's super stretchy, and I like to kind of move in my sleep. I don't want to be refined. And it was, I think it's a, 210 or 212 kind of bag. So it's just under 3 pounds again, but I think my slip bag's like 5 ounces, 3 pounds 5.
Yep.
So it's not that big of a difference. And it's minus, it's in that minus 18 range or minus 9. I can't remember what it is.
Cool.
But good enough.
Yeah, I mean, we liked the Kafaru 8-man when we were up there. There's a level of comfort of
yeah.
having that stove that's just
So I was
through
listening
the roof.
I was listening to that podcast, and you guys were talking about the Hilleberg or the TP.
Yeah.
So you went with the TP system?
Yeah. Well, our buddy went with the TP, and it was amazing. I find that, and we did talk about that a little bit with Aaron, is they're for two different placements, right?
Yeah.
So what we did with the Kafaru was we stayed down low. We were kind of near water. We had access to wood, and we could keep the stove going, and that was awesome. But I'm thinking if we were going to do a fly-in, hike up to the top, and then pitch something up away from the trees, I'd personally rather be in a Hilleberg.
There's no way about it. You have to be in a Hilleberg. And Aaron, being a Kafaru guy, he would tell you that himself.
Yeah.
I think he actually did. He was sort of, saying both had sort of pros and cons to them, so there wasn't really one or the other.
Yeah, and you know what it's like in BC. It can blow and blow and blow. And being on the side of a mountain, those Hillebergs are true to their name. They'll stand up to anything.
Yep.
And so...
Yeah, it becomes a safety issue if you don't... I mean, the TP's great, and it even cuts the wind pretty good. Sure. But we had a situation, just the soil we were trying to stake it out in, where we had a gust of wind coming down the river valley, and it actually popped half the stakes out.
Yeah.
So we had to restake it.
It's frustrating because it was a long day as it was already. And then you're trying to set up the TP in the wind, and it keeps blowing it. So you think okay, we're done packing for the day. We're going to set up here, and everyone's feeling good again. And you're like, shit, we need to keep going and find a different spot. So then you start going up and down the river, trying to find a better spot that's out of the wind. And it really has to be the right spot to set it up. It's got to be the right kind of soil. You got to have the right amount of space for it.
Well, think of your footprint sort of diameter you got there. It's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And with those... Huge. That's why I like carrying a small Hilleberg. Like that Namach, it's got a huge footprint too. And you're in those rocks sometimes, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and let's just find a little patch of grass. You can lay and set up your tent within 5 feet kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice in that sense, especially for stone sheep, is having that Hilleberg. But another big thing, it's worth the money, is I know a lot of guys use those MSRs. They're a good little tent and light. Okay. But, how many times does it rain in northern BC? And, you're tired at the end of the day, and you're ripping out your gear, and it's pissing down rain. Well, the MSR, it's a kind of a two sort of system, right? You've set up the inner, and then you have to put the rain fly over.
Right.
With the Hilleberg, you rip it out, and it's
ready to rock and roll.
So it can be dumping on it, and you're going to be dry inside.
Right.
So they are worth the money, and they're going to last you a lifetime.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. It's definitely... Yeah, and I feel like, it's nice to have options as far as, the tents that you can use, but they also take up a lot of storage space if you got 4 of everything for every different scenario. But I think... as far as, being able to use it in all kinds of scenarios, that might be the way to go for sure.
Yeah.
So
and maybe go with a one Hilleberg system between the two, right? And there's a couple good ones out there. They've just come out with the double vestibule and 2-man, so that's super nice too. So you can get out either side of the tent,
right?
Nice.
So you can have his side, and
cool.
So that's another way to go too.
His and hers.
Yeah, his and hers.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so fitness is obviously a key with this sheep hunting business.
Yes.
Shelters. Do you have can we round it out to the top 3? What is the third biggest thing?
Mental. Well, actually, mental is number 1.
Yeah.
But mental toughness has got to be there. A lot of guys just don't know what they're getting into when they go sheep hunting, and nor did I when I started.
Right.
And you really get in. Your eyes are open when you get into the middle of the mountains. Yep. You're stuck there.
Right.
So.
That's what I was going to ask. I don't know how much you can do as far as mentally preparing somebody for that kind of a trip. But do you sort of, are you in touch with them prior to the hunt just to kind of get them in the right mindset for it, or do they just show up and...
Yeah, you definitely want to do your groundwork and try and prepare them the best you can.
Yeah.
But like I said, they never do come prepared. You can tell them, it's going to be like this, and it's going to be a grind. Like, I've got a client coming next year with a bow hunter, and I've done a bighorn hunt with him, and I told him this is going to be the hardest hunt you've ever done. It's going to be, physically, it's going to be harder than what you did on your bighorn hunt, and be prepared. And he's like, yeah, I'll be on the treadmill. Yeah. And you hear it every day.
Right.
We'll see.
See what happens.
But it's your mind plays a lot of tricks on you, and it's amazing how quickly you can quit, in a sense, if your mind's not there ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing I see in my clients. Is it's sometimes night and day. Like, they're with it, they're stoked, and then maybe something doesn't go their way, a blowing stalk or
Right.
a crappy 2 days, and just their mental, their thoughts, everything just changes. And now your job as a guide is to pick up on that,
Right.
and be like, okay, we've got to get this guy back on good terms and happy, and and it sucks when you're not killing sheep or seeing sheep, but that's sheep hunting.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many things can cause that change in attitude, right?
Oh man,
It's like weather. You see some grizz tracks that people aren't comfortable with. You start getting like chafing. Like, there's so many things that
oh yeah,
when you get out there, it's just all of a sudden something can surprise you. It could be a blister. It could be whatever. Right? So
yeah.
You know what the worst part for me was on our trip, Cal, was walking on that horse trail on the fault line that just kept going straight. It just felt like never ending. That's when I had you kind of get into like droning thoughts, and you're just walking for like 2 hours, and it's just like the same sort of scenery around you. And then that's when I found that my mind was starting to get away from me, and I was starting to think about home a little bit. And just because of that, there was no like mental stimulation. Otherwise, it was just like, I'm just walking on this straight line here, and I've got nothing else to think about.
yeah, because we had a base, and we were kind of hiking this area back and forth a couple times, because we had the 2 or 3 days there in that specific area.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I totally agree with.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Something about
think
it.
a big thing too is guys don't realize the amount of time you got to sit with your binoculars in one spot and look for sheep. If a lot of clients, a lot of them go and do the doe sheep on their first sheep. If they're a big sheep hunter or they're getting into it, they usually go for doe. And why? Because it's the cheapest and it's the most successful one.
You can see them.
Well, yeah, they've got that aspect, but they're hidden ghosts at the same time.
Yeah.
But you can, you see a lot more sheep, and the success rate, especially in the territories. If you don't come home with a doe sheep in the territories, something drastically must have happened. Like either weather, or the guide did something wrong, or the outfit didn't put enough attention into the hunt, or who knows, or the client gave up. That's usually the 4 big things. But then, so they have that sort of hunt in their mind. Yeah, I'm a sheep hunter now. And here we go. They book a bighorn or they book a stone sheep, and they come. Here's Nathan French, your guide, and off you go backpacking. And I'm sitting there for 4 hours, and he's like looking at you like, are we gonna go? Like, you've looked at the same mountainside for 4 hours. And patience, that's all in that mental kind of toughness, is all those different aspects of, you got to be patient. You've got to, just relax too,
Right.
just not be agitated. And, it comes down to sometimes on the last afternoon of day 10, and there's that ram, legal ram, and boom, it happens. But that's that mental grindness. You got to be at it for 10 days, not just the first couple of days. So,
You ever had guys that were just completely overwhelmed by the whole thing and just said, I'm done?
Day 4, I had a client. He came, full of piss and vinegar, ready to go, and it was a doe sheep hunt, so it was a guarantee in my eyes.
Right.
And he was a bow hunter, and we stalked a ram on the first 2 days. We chased the same ram, and just tried to sit in a position for the ram to come to us. We weren't really trying to go after the ram itself. And it just, how bow hunting goes, it just didn't work out the first 2 days. And there were a couple of long, grindy days. I maybe pushed him a little further than his physical demands could go. And he unfortunately faked a knee injury on me.
Jeez.
And that was just his mind. He
Right.
just decided, I can't believe it. You know, he spent all this money and time and, you know, to come do this hunt. And he said, "Oh, I twisted my knee back there. Did you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, no." And I tried, I think 3 or 4 days, I tried to get him back in the game. And he said, "Oh, let's just go hunt caribou." I was like, "Why can you hunt caribou, but you can't hunt sheep? But you still got to walk for a caribou."
Right.
And then I don't know what day it was, 6 or 7. I wake up in the morning pretty early and get out of my tent, and there's no hunter. And I'm like, where the heck did he go? His tent's wide open. There's no hunter. And like, we're on this big plain, and I'm just looking, nothing. So I'm like, well, it'd be a mistake for me to go look for him. So I'll
Yeah.
wait for him to come back.
Right.
And in the doing so, here comes this great big caribou, 50 yards by the tent, stands and looks at me. I get pictures of it with my phone. Just beautiful caribou. Could
Yeah.
have killed it with a bow, obviously. And off it walked. And then right in the horizon, here he comes walking back to the tent. And I've got my arms up in the air, like, what the heck? Comes back. I'm like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I just thought I'd go for a walk." I'm like, "I thought you couldn't walk. Like, we're here to do a hunt." And you said you can't. "Oh, I was just testing it out today, but yeah, it's still sore." I'm like, "Well, unfortunately, look what just passed my tent half an hour ago." And then he got all mad at me. I was like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?"
Yeah, you're the one that fucked off and didn't say where you were going.
Yeah, so we flew out that day and called it quits. But
Just the two of you in that scenario?
yeah, it is usually one-on-one. Other than when I used to horseback hunt. Well, actually, that was still one-on-one.
Right.
But
That might be tough, man. Like, you just, obviously you're not going to be compatible with everybody,
with everyone,
right? So
you've kind of got to be that sort of personality as a guide. You've got to
Right.
be compatible. You got to have multicolors and deal with a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And you have so many different personalities. Some guys are amazing. In the last couple of years, I've had some really beauties, like just real good guys. And I've had a couple bad ones actually last year. But other than that, yeah, you know.
I guess, you just have to know that's part of the job, right? And deal with it. And,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you get a lot of guys who you start to see every couple of years sort of thing.
Yeah, I've sort of built a little kind of clientele list, you know, guys I just really got along well and they just want to keep doing hunts with me, and you just build that kind of relationship. And you know, it's amazing. I say to guys, it's amazing. In 10 days, you can meet a guy, never met him before, and you can build a stronger relationship than trying to be at home and build one in a year with a guy.
Right.
It's amazing what 10 days on the mountain can do with a guy.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I've built some really cool relationships, and it's really cool that I get to see so many different kind of successful people, you know.
Right.
Most of these guys are, you know, really successful guys. They've built businesses and whatnot, and I'm kind of that sort of personality that I want to grab as much info and you know, learn from those guys too.
Totally.
And so that's another cool aspect that you get to have out there.
Yeah, I bet.
It's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I guess after a certain amount of years, maybe you can be a bit more selective, and you've got a big enough list where you can sort of say, I'm full, or I've only got 2 spots for some randoms this year or whatever. And
and the more years I've done this, it kind of has happened that way. In the last couple of years, I've got kind of younger go-getter guys, and they see, you know, that's the kind of hunts that I have been doing, and
right.
that's what they kind of want to do. They want that extreme. There's one guy who's just unbelievable. He's like a marathon runner, and there's nothing stopping him. Like, you can put him through anything, and he's just smiling off he goes.
Nice.
So those are the guys you really want.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun. It's like hunting with another buddy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Especially, you know, you're going through, like you said, building up those relationships over 10 days. And, you know, when you spent time like that with somebody in the backcountry, you've been through certain things, be it, you know, crazy weather or, you know, close call with something or whatever. And those are the kind of things that you don't forget, and that definitely create a connection. So then there's the guys you never want to see again.
unfortunately, there is, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the name of the game.
Yeah, for sure. I thought I had a question for you.
I think, did you have a story for us at all? I mean, you've talked you
I've
mentioned
got
a
way
few
too many.
things, but
What kind of story do you want? Do you want a good one or a wreck?
That's a good question. I feel like both of them could be pretty interesting.
Well,
We could touch on both of them if you
We
have
got
time.
yeah.
I think if I was to touch on one in the past few years that's just, you know, is one amazing one was last year. A client and I went on a stone sheep hunt and landed in a spot I've never been. New area, everything in that. And he was a young guy, go-getter, so I knew it was going to be a good hunt in that way. And we grinded for a couple of days to get into the sheep country, bushwhacked some stuff, and got into the high alpine and sat there for the evening and glassed this big open bowl. And I had this area I wanted to get to, and it was, if I can describe it, it was a big bowl and then kind of a big deep ravine in the middle of it. And so I wanted to glass this bowl and then hike around the left side of it, get to the pass at the end of the ravine, look at that, and then come back on the right side of the bowl and come around a mountain and go look in the backside of the mountain. So I'm sitting there for the whole evening, and here's that patience thing, and glass till 10, 11 at night, and set the tents on the ridge. And then the next morning, glassed again. Hadn't seen nothing, hadn't seen a sheep yet, and just, I don't know, kept glassing. And I think it was about 16 hours total until I decided, okay, let's move. And there was a lot to glass. It wasn't just like one bowl I was looking at. There was, the left side of the ridge too, and another valley. So off we go, and we cross this bowl, head for that far pass. Now I'm looking there for the afternoon, and nothing. And then you get to the point, it's okay, I think I've glassed this enough. Let's start making some miles to get to this spot that I've been told, sometimes the rams hang out in. And I bet you I was 200 yards from when we sat up, and off we get going. And I look back and wait for the client. And as I look, I do the typical thing when I'm standing there, I just glass. That's just what I do. And I look in the bowl that I just looked at for 16 hours, and there's a ram just standing, or actually he was bedded chewing his cud. I'm like, oh crap, ram. So I'm like, we jump down, I get the spot and scope on it. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Biggest ram, stone sheep I've ever seen in my life. Just an absolute cranker. And I'm sitting there just shaking. And this guy's like, is it a good one? I'm like, yeah, I think this one's legal. Just you got to learn not to get them too excited, right?
Right.
And we're pinned down at 600 yards, and it's with another like dink banana horn ram. So it's weird. Like you'd think, maybe it would be, and he was mature, obviously, just tipped up, just massive ram. So we're sitting there for a couple hours, and that's when your heart's just going and the adrenaline's pumping. And then the young little ram just kicks him out of his bed, and they just start going away from us. I'm like, oh crap. They go, I don't know, it's probably like a mile and a half long ridge right up to skyline, and they disappear. And I'm like, look at my watch and enough time in the day. So I'm like, okay, there's two ways we can do this right now. We can take our whole camp with us and go, and if we kill the ram, we've got everything with us, and we can make camp and take our time, or we go light and try and burn up there and kill them and just have to hike down and get here in the early mornings. And it's amazing in that sort of adrenaline situation. It's sometimes hard to make up your mind.
Yeah, I bet.
And so I was like, oh, we should do this. Oh no, we should do this. And I was back and forth, and I think in the end, I was like, oh, let's just go light. And I literally took 50 yards, and I just had this gut feeling. I was like, nah, take your camp. So I was like, sorry, man, I changed my mind. Let's go get our camp. So I'd already dumped my camp out. So we went back and grabbed my camp here, wasting all this time. Anyways, off we go, we climb up this ridge, and we're getting closer to that saddle that I've seen the two rams disappear over. And I'm like, okay, let's drop our stuff here and let's go up. And I just had this the wind was kind of scree, but the thing I've learned with the mountains is, the wind might be in the back of your neck as you're going up to the saddle, but there's usually always a wind coming the other side. It's like the mountains just have this kind of weird sort of system. So I decided to go low below the saddle and up high to the left, just to try and beat that wind, just in case they were just bedded right in the middle of that saddle. And I come up slowly to the left side. I'm looking, and then that little dink ram standing there looking at us. I'm like, oh crap, we're busted. So I'm like, get down. The ram's it's gonna be there. It was like 100 yards. And nothing. The ram's sort of standing at us, and he just starts walking away and goes back the way he had come in the first place. Nothing. We're sitting there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, nothing. I'm like, what's going on? Maybe that big ram's disappeared. I was like, crap.
Is this rifle or bow?
This is rifle.
Okay.
Unfortunately, as you'll find out. And so I'm like, get up. And so it's kind of like this big saddle of these big boulders, and so it's open. Like you're going to be spotted way before you see the ram. So we're taking kind of side steps, and we're looking everywhere. And I'm kind of looking. I'm more worried about what's on the other side. We're looking, and I'm kind of sidestepping, and all of a sudden I just see this tip on one side of this rock. I'm like, I'm like, right there. He's like, what? I'm like, right there. And like 16 yards, there's this ram facing away, just sitting there chewing his cud.
Jeez.
I'm like, are you ready? He's like, yeah. And so I'm like, turn down your scope. That's
Turn
a big
your gun around and hit him over there.
Yeah, that's a big thing to learn, is turn down your scope.
Yeah, that's a
and
good
so I'm
point.
like grabbing him by the scruff, and I'm being real rough. And I'm like just sidestepping him. I'm like, shoot him in the back. And now I'm like talking like a normal person. I'm like, just shoot him. You know, I might have said other words. I don't know what I said. And boom, and hits the ram. The ram jumps up. It's just smoke everywhere. I can't see nothing. And then the smoke clears in areas at 40 yards broad. So I'm like, shoot him again. Boom, and drops. I'm like, holy crap. I've got it on my iPhone. It's like unbelievable footage. It's hilarious.
Nice.
And we're just like slapping each other's backs and just screaming like little girls, and walk up to him. And yeah, he was what I thought he was. He was just an absolute giant. But the biggest thing that gives me goosebumps this day is he was 16 and a half years old.
Holy
Which
cow.
I don't know what happened this year. I did hear rumors that a 17-year-old ram got killed, but the hunter himself said it was false. The guy aged it wrong. But the head biologist aged that ram, and his words are, it's the oldest stone sheep ever killed on paper.
Holy shit.
What they've recorded on paper.
Wow.
I didn't know they lived that long, man.
I didn't either. Like, you know, a 13-year-old ram is a monarch.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've killed a couple of those, or 14 even. But, you know, 16 and a half and, you know, to me, that's the biggest deal to me, is the age. I've passed up 40-inch rams at 8 and killed a 34-inch 10-year-old.
Right.
You know, I just do believe in that is good conservation for sheep.
for sure.
And that's a big part of, you know, what I want as a guide is, you know, definitely keeping that age.
Right.
If you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that sticks with me, and I don't know if I'll ever get that opportunity
That's
again
crazy.
to kill that old of a sheep.
Huh.
But that's
Wow.
a special one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow.
But he was, you know, he was 41 too, so special ram in all senses.
Yeah.
And that was that guy's first ram. So.
Lucky bastard.
He's ruined for life.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
It's
no
time
kidding.
to quit. Do something
Jeez.
else.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a good one.
I'm sure he's hooked after that.
Yeah. He's a good guy from Florida, citrus farmer.
Just no way.
Yeah, it's weird.
Random.
Yeah, exactly. Guys you meet.
Yeah, no kidding.
I assume most of the guys are from the States.
Yeah, 95, I'd
Yeah.
say %. You get the odd, I've had a couple Albertans actually in the territories.
Yep.
You know, the oil guys. And then actually way back in the Yukon, that sometimes each outfit kind of has this sort of click, and it's you know, some Yukon outfitters just have a real niche for the Europeans. And so a lot of Europeans will go to the Yukon. But yeah, you're right. It's mainly US guys.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, we're lucky as residents that we get to go buy a tag over the
$60
counter.
and off you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you tell guys that from the States, they just can't believe it.
Yeah.
And it's just normal to us, which is a good reminder that we're so lucky, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
So
Train wreck story?
Oh man. Well, you may have guessed it has to do with horses.
Okay.
I was trying to think today. I was like, oh, I gotta figure out a good train wreck story. But the one that sticks in my mind is I had this Aussie hunter in the Yukon in 2012, and man, he was hilarious. Just the whole hunt was just funny. But anyways, we're like 8,500 feet up in sheep country, looking around. We were caribou hunting at the time. We're going along, and we had, I don't know, I had like 3 horses with me. I left 3 at the bottom and whatnot. And we're going along, and all of a sudden he's like, beaver. I'm like, what? Beaver? I look down, he's like pointing across the valley. He's like, beaver. And I put my box up. That's not a beaver, it's a wolverine. Shoot the thing. Like, what the heck? So getting down the pack and running, and I'm whistling, trying to stop it. And it's like 300 yards, and he squeezed one off, and he just missed it.
No.
Anyways, so that gives you a sense of what kind of guy he was. So we spot this caribou way at the top of the mountain, and I'm like, okay, we're going to bring 1 horse with us. I'll just lead him up the pack horse. We'll lead him up the mountain, and we'll tie him off to the last tree we can find and go kill this caribou. So we did that. found this, 3-foot little sapling. I'm like, yeah, that'll do. Tie him off, and off you go up the mountain. Killed this caribou. So I said, you stay here. I'm going to run down, grab the pack horse, and bring him back up. So did that and came back up the mountain. I already dressed the caribou. So I said, you just hold on to his lead rope, and I'm going to, pack the boxes, and off we go. So I got all the meat kind of level in the packs and threw on the one box and threw on the next box and did my ropes and whatnot and diamond. And then I was like, okay, hold on to the horse. I'm just going to put the horns on top and we'll do a diamond, and off we go. And this horse was golden. I don't know whatever happened to him, but I came from the front of the horse. I had the head and I put him on, didn't put it on rough, and put it on and he was fine. And I don't know if the Aussie hunter was doing something weird to his nose or something, but just the click of a button, that horse just went insane, just started bucking.
Wow.
No tomorrow, the boxes were flying, the meat was going everywhere.
Jeez.
And the hunter let go, and the horse just started going straight down. And this is a steep, rocky mountain, just straight down the mountain. And I'm, the meat's gone, like it's rolling down the mountainside. And there's the horns just on top of the horse. The boxes are still attached, and it just disappears over kind of like the skyline, if you want to call it. But I couldn't see it anymore down below me. And I am just stressed to the max. Like it's dark, it's getting dark.
Right.
And I'm just like, oh man. So here we go, start going down the mountain. I've got the horns or antlers in one hand, or kind of the cape over my shoulder, and I got the horns kind of on my shoulder and head like this. And I'm trying to pick up meat as I go, and, see if any of it salvageable, right? And so I'd stop and put a quarter in my backpack and put my backpack back on and keep going. Now I'm just looking for this horse, and it's getting pretty dark. And way down in this ravine, I look down to the right, and the horse is just standing there with his head down, kind of one leg kind of bent up, he's like real sore. It's like, dang it. So I'm like, okay, walk this ridge. That was a kind of a knife ridge. I've got to drop down and get this horse, and I'll meet you up on the ridge. I'll go up onto the ridge. Get down there, and the horse is just cut up everywhere, and ropes around his hindquarters and one rope around his neck. He'd made himself into a mess and finally stopped. But, the boxes were scattered everywhere. I was having to pick boxes up too in that ravine, but got him kind of tied back on. Didn't put any weight on him, just tied on the boxes and the saddle, and got back up onto the ridge. And now it's pitch black, and I'm yelling, "Where's the hunter?" Hey! Finally found him. He gets lost real easy. It's another story. But finally, and now we're 5-6 miles from our riding horses, so now you've got to deal with, walking through that with a scared Aussie hunter and grizzly bears and meat on your back and a sore horse. And so we finally get back to the riding horses, and I was like, okay, we've still got probably 2 hours to camp. I've got to make the decision. Do I put the antlers back on the horse, try it again, or do I just ride with them on my back? Well, I went with the decision to ride with them on my back with my riding horse, which is one of the best riding horses I've ever ridden. Well, off we go. And I've got these antlers on my back and riding along. Everything's fine. And I guess, I don't know, I had it pretty tight on my backpack. And I guess one of the top points tines was just kind of scraping the back end of the horse. And it kind of did a couple hops once or twice. I looked back and couldn't really, I figured that was what it was, but I tried to feel back and nothing was going wrong. Well, it felt like it was digging in and kept going. And I must have just really pissed her off, and it jabbed in or something, and she just sent me 10 feet in the air with these antlers on my back and crashed the ground. Thankfully, I landed more on my front, which if I'd have landed on my back, I don't know how that would have gone.
Shit.
Either broken the antlers or dug one into the side of my spleen or something. But so there I am on the ground, and that riding horse just starts running off, and the hunter's like, doesn't know what to do with his horse. So I'm kind of getting up in a mess of, I've got meat on my back too. So that's ripping off my backpack, trying to just get up. So just get off your horse. So I'm like, I'm done with this. It's kind of, you're at the point where you're overtired and, you're stressed out with all this horse issues. So I just tied on my backpack and his backpack to his riding horse and just led him, and finally caught up to my riding horse back at camp. It decided it was ready for bed, so it went on its own. But We had to walk a couple more hours into our tents there, but that was one wreck that sticks in my mind for sure. It was, and it's, you can tell that story 100 times, but it's just being there in that situation and
I can imagine, man. It's
just
like
dealing with it.
when things go wrong, it's usually not the only thing that's gonna. It's just like one thing after another one happens.
I just must be a pro at either making horses sore or losing them, because 2012, again, the same year, later on in the year, I was working for a different outfitter and I was doing a goat hunt. We killed this goat and everything went fine that way. And we got back to the horses. We're on a steep slope, so I'm like, we have to lead him down. You can't ride him on a steep hill just to save the horses. And I had cinched, I had a pack horse and 2 riding horses. I cinched it was 2 riding horses. I didn't have a pack horse. It was 2 riding horses. I cinched the hunter's backpack to his saddle. As you got a lot of extra kind of leather straps on a saddle sometimes. You can tie the rain jacket or not. So he had just this little day pack duffel bag. And so I decided I had the whole goat on my back. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give you my Spartan scope, camera, binoculars, all those kind of things, just to save 10 pounds or whatever. So I stuffed it in his backpack, tied this backpack on his saddle and didn't think anything of it and started going down the mountain. And then I hear my name, Nathan. Like, what? He's like, the horse. So I quickly tied my horse. I go up the mountain. He's only 20 feet behind me. And the horse is like standing there. He's looking at him. I'm like, grab him. Like, he'd let go of the horse. And what had happened is the saddle had come loose and slipped onto the side of his body. And he didn't like that. And just as I was ready to get to him, he just started going AWOL and just disappeared into the thick timber. No. I could just hear it crash, and then it disappeared. I'm like, crap. So I looked for a couple hours, and again, we're in the pitch black. Once I finished looking, couldn't find a horse, and I'm just gutted. I know what's on that horse, right? All my optics, everything.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to be the poorest guide in the world here. So, but I got to deal with the client. So we led my horse down. I had the pack on my back, and we got to the trail, and we were in cabins at this point. So I was like, okay, you can ride my horse. Just hold him back enough so I can kind of stay with you. I didn't have a headlamp or nothing. So he starts riding, and I have to always remind him, slow down. I can't. Like, he couldn't hold the horse back. Anyways, I gave up and just let him go. And I was walking on my own for the last hour in the pitch black, but finally made it. And so the next day, we killed our goat, and I was like, I got to go find this horse. And I called the outfitter, and he's like, yeah, just do what you can. Go try and find him, or he'll walk back into camp, kind of thing, right? So I go back into that. It's kind of like open northern BC Aspen kind of country. Right. And I retrace every step where I was, and nothing. Couldn't even find fresh horse tracks or crap or nothing. I was like, man, this is stressful. Couldn't find him the whole day, and I looked pretty dang all day. So now my stress level's way up there, and all the outfit I cared about was his horse and his tack. Didn't care about that. I had $10,000 worth of crap on the back. But day 2, looking for him, I finally went right back up to where the whole situation happened, and I managed to find somewhat of a track that I thought was his, and I thought maybe they were just ours coming down in the dark. And luck had it, I did. I found the horse, and he was just standing there, and he had the lead rope wrapped around his front foot, and the whole saddle was right under his belly. It hadn't come off. And fortunately, I forgot about this, the hunter's custom rifle was in a scabbard on that horse, and it was still in there. I was like, sweet. And I was running down there all happy, and then I turned the saddle over, and there's no backpack.
Oh no.
I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And so right then and there, I could have just given up, but I was like, crap, like, I gotta find this stuff. So I tied him up. I was like, okay, I know where you are now. So I hiked way back up to the mountain to where it all happened. I'm looking, and it's a camo backpack. I'm like, I'm screwed. I don't know what caused me to look up. I looked up, and the backpack was hanging in the tree, like
no way.
15 feet up in the tree, just hanging there. I was like,
how the hell does that happen?
oh, thank you. So
and all your stuff was in it.
Yeah, it
Nice.
was unopened. So
That's crazy.
I have good horse wreck stories for some reason.
Now I understand why you don't want to.
Yeah, you still want a horse, Kelly?
Yeah.
Not really. It's funny. Everybody we've talked to about horses has been like, yeah, you might want to rethink that.
It's when you're the one backpacking and having a shitty day, and you see a bunch of horses go by, you're like, yeah, that looks pretty good. But when you hear these kinds of stories, you realize why.
Yeah.
It's one more thing you have to think about, one more responsibility other than yourself that you have to.
It sounds like it becomes the responsibility. Like it becomes the thing. You're out there for the horses.
Yeah, I've had horses, you know, you go wrangle them in the morning, and a good wrangle, you got them in an hour or something, right? They haven't gone too far, but I've had, 11-hour wrangles before. You waste a whole day trying to find your horses. But I don't know. It's just the way it is. I've had that happen too. Yeah, I had to have the outfitter fly and find the horse so I could go get it.
Really?
I looked all day, couldn't find it, and it took 2 days to go get them because they'd gone so far. What happens is one of them will break their hobble or whatnot, and the lead horse or mare or something, and he just drags those horses wherever he wants to go.
So this, the wreck story, that's you, another guy, and like just a group of horses. So it's just you?
Just me with you. How it ran in the Yukon was just me and usually about 6 to 7 head horse.
Wow.
And so, you'd have 2 riding horses, 3 pack horses, and usually a spare horse. So yeah, it'd be 6. I've had more, but 6 is kind of the magic number up in that area. But sometimes I've had to have sometimes you double up and go 2 hunters and 2 guides and just make a spike camp and then split up each day.
Right.
So
Nice.
sometimes you're 12 or 13, 14 horses. But
Cool.
But we used to trail those horses in 7 days, 26 horses with 3 guys, and that's where you learn to deal with wrecks real quick. So
Sounds like a lot of work for sure.
just hire a really good wrangler.
Yeah. Wranglers.com.
Yeah.
So I think we did a little bit of research on you too before you came in, but Go Hunt, there you have a couple articles on there.
I do, yeah.
And Journal of Mountain Hunting, our friend Adam.
Yeah.
Adam was in here today, actually. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So is that something you're going to continue doing, or?
I don't think I'm any gifted writer. I do enjoy, I enjoy reading stories, so I hope people enjoy reading mine, kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
I don't.
It sounds like you got a lot of them. So
Maybe in 4 years I'll write.
You might as well write them down. That's kind of why we're doing this. It's just another way to write your experience down.
Exactly.
Right?
I did a couple, like Brady Miller. He asked me to do a couple information sort of ones. I did a couple just hunt stories for him, and then I think I did one on mental toughness actually. And then Adam asked me to share a story, and so I shared my personal goat hunt in 2014.
Yep.
So
cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
photography is another thing you're into, eh?
I do. I really enjoy photography. It's just a hobby to me. You're in such amazing country up there, or wherever I go, and I have a passion for capturing that sort of thing. I've done a lot of videos for the hunts I've guided,
Okay.
like self-videoed, and it's a very hard sort of skill to kind of do at the same time, because your number one object is to get that ram for the client, and if you're fiddling with a camera trying to get the perfect shot, so I've managed to do that. The last couple of years I've really toned that down. I haven't done it as much just because I just want to focus on killing sheep.
Yeah.
But I do. I'm trying. As I said earlier, like a big passion of mine is conservation for sheep.
Right.
And I'm a member of the Wild Sheep Foundation. So I was, writing down ideas of, what I could do. And I've started a website, and it's my photography I've captured on these hunts and just around town too, of different wildlife or scenery.
Mm-hmm.
And if guys buy a print, I will donate to the Wild Sheep Foundation.
Nice.
So it's my way of giving back.
Yeah,
right?
for sure, man.
So sales are a peak right now. I've sold about 1. So
Nice.
it's going well.
I got
There's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, totally.
But you said you're friends with Aaron Snyder.
I am, yeah.
So I don't know if you followed his Instagram, but it looks like he's got a new lens.
Yeah, he's got a new, I think
It's
it's
a
the
600
size of like a small child. But
Yeah, 600 millimeter.
yeah, it's just so he doesn't have to get close now. He just takes the pictures from 150 yards away.
Yeah,
Right.
from his front door.
Yeah. But he's a good photographer. He's got that brand new Nikon 850. It's a machine and a half.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
Well, yeah, you're already in the perfect scenery. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
to take a camera, actually, so we took my DSLR on this trip too.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely have to consider the weight, because I think it was about 5 pounds of extra
Sure.
gear for that
Yeah.
camera. But at the end of the day, we all determined it's worth it, whether we have to pass that camera around or whatever.
Even if you only get a couple of really good photos out of it,
Yeah.
man, I think it's worth it because
Yeah, and we did get a couple good ones.
Yeah.
Even if it was just the three of us kind of like taking a picture with a mountain behind us or whatever.
Yeah.
We didn't get
Oh,
a
yeah.
sheep or anything, but
photos was all we came back with.
but that was kind of worth it even with
Yeah.
that. So.
I think
Yeah.
how it started with me is, you know, you do this, like I've done this 8 years now, and 40 sheep or whatever it is, and moose and caribou and bears and everything, and you start forgetting some of the things you
Right.
do. And
Yeah.
so you look back, you know, my 5,000 pictures on my phone I've got, and you flick through and like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So those pictures are just, for me personally, it's just something special to have.
Totally.
Because it reminds you of stories and what happened that day. And it's amazing. I can look at a picture and tell you exactly what happened that day.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of just installs that mental image. And
Triggers it when you see it. Yeah.
so
Cool.
Yeah, definitely, man. And that's kind of, you know, this podcast is a lot of it is for me and Kelly in a way too, I think. Because, you know, when I'm 90 years old, it might be kind of fun to listen back to some of this
for
shit and be
sure.
like, I
Yeah.
remember that. I forgot about that hunt we did. And yeah, so
Yep.
Yeah.
it's a good way to document things, that be it photography or writing or
Mhm.
audio or video or whatever it might be. It's good to keep track of these things because it's amazing how quickly you can forget all the
yeah, for
details.
sure.
Yeah.
Even the little iPhone podcast from the side of the mountain. You just
Yeah.
turn the iPhone recorder on, and we've had a couple of those. And then actually a hunt worked out like the next week. So to go back and listen to what we thought we had to do and then have it actually turn out it's kind of cool to
Mm-hmm.
hear that.
yeah,
But-
absolutely.
Yeah, for
Cool.
sure. Cool, man. Anything else you want to add before we wrap things up?
Can't think of it. I could just talk all night about
Yeah,
hunting.
well, the thing is, you're not too far away from us, so
No.
we'll have to do this again, man, for
For
sure.
Anytime.
Yeah.
It's been a blast.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
again.
thanks,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Cool. Cheers.
Cheers.